My video for November the 19th, 2019 is video number 3279. The title is Donald Trump is a Historical Anomaly. Quote, Trump is only the fourth president in US history to actually fight for the people, unlike all 41 others who mainly channeled the people's money in a pipeline of dollars that ends up in private banks. First, there was Andrew Jackson, who was shot after he destroyed the Second National Bank that he openly accused of being controlled by the Rothschilds and the City of London. Then there was Abraham Lincoln, who was murdered after printing his greenbacks, national money that the state issued to pay the soldiers because Lincoln had refused to borrow money from Rothschild at 24% interest. Then there was JFK, who was killed for a dozen reasons that mostly went against the banks and military industries' profits, and now is Donald Trump, who shouted that he would give America back to the people, end quote. This is a quotation from Operation Disclosure, blogspot.com, which issues many interesting articles. Determining truth in a world of lies requires a lot of discernment and patience. Let me get over to that page. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to minimize this, not close it. Why? You cannot minimize Zoom when you are recording. That's crazy. I want to minimize it. I had to pull it out. All right. Anyway, I'm back to the article now. I've got it up on my screen. I didn't know you couldn't minimize Zoom, but I just pulled it down to the bottom so I could see what was behind it. Anyway, I'm continuing to read from that same section of that article that I mentioned in the blurb. And I'm, again, reading what's written here. Like most businessmen, Trump hates banks for the formidable power that they have over the economy. Just take a peek at Henry Ford's only book, The International Jews, to find out how deep was his distrust and hatred of international banks. Trump's businesses have suffered a lot because of these institutions that basically sell you an umbrella only to take it back as soon as it rains. Private banking's control over money creation and interest rates through every central bank of almost every country is a permanent power over nations, far above the ephemeral cycle of politicians. By the year 2000, these nation looters were only a few steps away from their planetary totalitarian dream, but a couple of details stood still. Vladimir Putin and 3,993 million American weapons. Then came the orange-faced Donald, the last piece of the puzzle that we the people needed to terminate 250 years of the banking empire. Wow. This article, like many that I get to read, is full of information that we'll never see on the mainstream media because it too is controlled by the same bankers that control the education system, the political system, the media, and of course, they do it all by controlling the financial system. That's the kingpin that holds all the rest together. They bribe our politicians. They bribe people that are in business. They force a lot of things that are just unscrupulous things on people that try to do business like Donald Trump and others who would like to just be free to operate in a reasonable and just system. But the international bankers have never wanted a just system. They've never wanted truth. They've always been against people like me that try to wake other people up, because the last thing they want is for an awakened populace that in the United States is highly armed. I just saw a video today where a company in Wisconsin, as their Christmas gifts, gave everybody a chance to go and purchase a firearm for their protection, a handheld firearm, not machine guns or anything like that, but just something to protect them in their homes. Because the right to keep and bear arms is protected in the United States by the Second Amendment, which of course the globalists want to get rid of, like they've gotten rid of it in most other nations of the world. And it rightly says that Putin stands in the way of their game, and now Donald Trump does. This is why there is so much venom and so much hatred against these two people, and why the media keeps trying to pit them against each other by saying that they're cooperating with each other and making Trump seem like a traitor. Traitor to what? A traitor to the international bankers, because they are the people that have been systematically enslaving humanity, not just for a little while, but they've been doing it for eons and under various names and various guises going back thousands of years, much before the American Revolution, much before the House of Rothschild came into play. They've gone by different names at different times, but it's always the same game. Lie to the people and control the people through fear and intimidation. Well, perhaps there is an awakening going on where people are finally getting it, that the money system, as it has been run and controlled, is the problem. And if we can get rid of that problem, either through repentance of those that are playing the sick game or removal of them so that they can no longer infest Earth or any other place, that would be nice. If there could be a universal elimination, or at least a subjugation of all of these beings that are malevolent in nature, that do not wish to have peace on earth, because from their point of view, peace is not profitable. Peace does not allow them to control others, because when there is peace, people think outside the box, people study, people learn things, and they don't want people to have the free time to actually dig into things and find out what's going on and see the man behind the curtain. It's always been the man behind the curtain that pulls the strings. It's a puppet show, okay? That's what politics is. That's what the media is. It's a puppet show. And the people that are pulling the strings are malevolent, as I keep saying. They do not have yours and my interest at heart. They do not want freedom for all. They do not want justice, because if there was justice, they would be the criminals that would be incarcerated or penalized severely for the crimes that they've committed against all of us in all countries around the world. Folks, this is not something that's an American issue. It's not something that is an issue of white people or black people or yellow people or red people or any nationality. It's not a thing against genders. It's not against anything except lies and corruption. That's where the problem is, and that's what we have to see. And if we came together, if we could come together on the same page, they could not uphold their tyranny any longer, and it would collapse in its own footprint. But without some kind of help, I don't see that happening. And I know I keep saying it's up to God to empower us, but it's up to you and me to do the best we can to get truth out so that people can be at least aware of what's going on and themselves call on God, however they see God, to help humanity become free of this tyranny of control that has gone on in every nation over a long period of time. It's time for it to end. Thank you, folks, very much for listening, and namaste.